We have just about 25 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we give you ample time to ask questions as well. But I want to kind of warm up a little bit, the floor a little bit. I want to file a couple of questions to the panelists, so we kind of get their perspectives as well. The first one is clearly all of you talked about the importance of failure, and I think Jeremy, I like the quote that failure is an option, but the fear of failure isn't. So that's a great one. But the question is, a lot of the companies may have a relatively conservative culture, and conservative culture, what happens is that when by serendipity an innovation happens, like the 3M Post-it, everyone wants to get the kudos all the way up to the CEO. When it fails, they pass the bucket and kind of make sure that someone's hang is cut. How do you change the culture? How do you maybe inject more and more an appreciation for failure? In some cases, even reward failure as opposed to punishing it. Is there any kind of a roadmap that any of you can offer to the audience? Jeremy?
Yeah, I can start on that. I mean, I look at some of the product lines that we've got inside Symantec. I mean, we recently got out of a business for perimeter appliances, and this was probably a couple, 3 years in the making. Significant amount of money invested, but the innovation there, although I would say we were first into what we called the UTM appliance market, that business turned out being more like a hardware business than a software business. And so we got to a point where we realized that the expertise that we had in the company just didn't fit with where that segment of the security market was headed. And so in that situation, what do? A lot of people actually just hang in there and try and have a graceful failure. The right thing to do is if your innovation there is not aligned with the DNA in the company and the vision of the company, is get out of there. You're not going to be successful. And as much as your pride takes a dent, as long as it's not the only innovation that you've got going in the company, you can recover from it, and the skills that are on that project can be moved to something else. But I think in a lot of places, what ends up happening, people almost derive a lot of, I won't say pleasure, but they derive a lot of satisfaction from having a relatively unsuccessful product line rather than saying it's a failure and getting out.
Great. Any other comments from Ganesh or Ashank?
Your question was really that a success everybody tries to take credit for, and what happens if there are failures.
That's right.
That's the point. Now, this is a very tricky question in an innovation scenario. On one hand, it's true that you need to create an environment that people can fail. It's true that you should allow a failure because that's the soil for making innovation happen. Having said that, let us also realize that we are in a business and we can't have an innumerable failures which are more than the average. So there is what I would call a comfortable failure rate. Beyond that, one has to be absolutely clear that we need to take accountability for deliver results. So how do we do that? That's the question that you have. Now, there is an organization structure that you would have typically in your existing organization which is delivering to a customer, where you set all the KRAs and goals, and we all keep on doing it quarter after quarter, year after year. But here is a case where one has to be a bit careful in defining KRAs to an extent that they should be also taking care of failures in the part of that whole KRA. In the sense that I can't tell you exactly how we do it in giving an example maybe, but the point I'm trying to make is you may have a longer time period maybe than the existing time frame of your running organization. You may have a larger leeway of variability of the results that you achieve. So you may say that within 10% you should achieve results in case of existing organization. You may allow 25%. But having said all that, you need to fix up those dimensions of who has to deliver what. Once you do that, I think you are pretty clear who is accountable for failures and successes both. So I'm saying I would not get out of accountability whether you are doing innovation. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah. Innovation.
That's right. Yeah, accountability is a key word. I think we heard a lot today, and one of the companies I think building on Ashank, your point is making failure almost like a metric, if you like. And I think Intel comes to mind where some of their innovation, they have actually a portfolio management tool they use, and actually they track how many projects actually fail. And actually there's an alarm bell that goes off when they see that a lot of, they call that the kill rate, right? That's a concept that is becoming more popular. Intel is democratizing it across the company so that there is almost like a mechanism to track how many projects they kill. And if they don't kill enough, I think it's like 10% or something, then we have a problem. Because accountability is great, but you don't want people to be wedded to some projects either, right? Another company is Whirlpool, the appliance maker, which calls the kill rate as well, because that's another company which is very engineering-driven company. So engineers love the projects, they get involved in. So they instituted, again, another metric they call the kill rate, which is reviewed by a committee, basically. And again, to incent more people to kill off projects that may not have the commercial value as initially, projected. So, good. Another question I have is, of course, which is, everyone, is talking about, service companies is, definitely, what India is known for. But I'm sure that, if India has to kind of move up the IT value chain, we also have to think about some product companies, coming out from India. And Ashank mentioned, the need for balancing innovation on the product side and service side as well. Several of you may be ISVs, product companies like Symantec. Several of you may be service companies as well. So I guess one question I have for the panelists is there a difference between innovating in a product company, a software company like Symantec versus innovating in a service company? Or are there some common best practices that apply to all types of companies? Anyone want to take a whack at it?